But apart from your writing like day job, how many words a day do you think that you write for your website?
According to Grammarly, between the two, I write about 17,000 words a day.
This interview is sponsored by the Endless Bag of Dice. Get a new set of dice at your door every month. Use the code SAVE15 to get 15% off your first month.
Hey guys, Jason from Critical Dice, and today I am talking with Dungeon Master Dave Hamrick himself. Dave, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going good. So I'm actually in a hotel room in Asheville, North Carolina for a gaming convention. So like my backdrop doesn't look the same as it usually does because I'm traveling kind of light and easy. I know we had a little trouble getting this to work for us earlier, but I'm doing good, man. What are you up to today?
Work. It's Friday, so I'm gonna do that. Gotta catch up on a bunch of content, but just living the dream, man.
Right on.
Not all of us get to be in fancy hotels at gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you do what you can when you have to do it. So Tell everyone, Dave, like, why do people know who you are? Like, what is your place in the larger Dungeons and Dragons community?
I think it's because I'm so terribly handsome, and it just, when I walk around, people are awestruck. But no, I write a lot of content for 5th edition on my website, dmdave.com. Just started as a place for my notes and then kind of spiraled out of control. I get about 150,000 views per month on my website right now, which is currently growing. In fact, I just had a pirate class I made the other day go viral. D&D memes on Facebook shared it, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I'm known for, just an absurdly high output of original content for 5th edition.
Yeah, because I signed up for the alerts whenever you put up a new post on your website, and sometimes I'll get like 3 email alerts a day, and I'm just like, dang it, Dave, what are you up to over there, man?
Yeah, lately it's been a lot of I've got a game on Patreon that I've been working on called Gods of Wondrosa, or Wandrasa, however you want to say it, that I've been having to tweak a lot. It's been like more work than it's probably worth this week. So I feel sorry for anybody who's been following me this week because I've been getting the motherload of that. But yeah, like usually, especially if I've got a day where I'm not really doing anything for work, I could write 3 or 4 pieces. If I'm doing monsters, it'll be like boom, 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 because monsters are really easy. But yeah, I try to stay productive, man. It's fun.
Well, you're a writer by trade as well, right?
Yeah, I do my day job. I work for a tech company called Jungle Scout, and I'm their senior content guy. So in addition to all the stuff I write for DM Dave, I write a lot of stuff about business and Amazon. Actually, I wrote a piece on Amazon's new Project Zero yesterday. If you're an Amazon seller like myself, and it's Josh, right?
Jason.
Oh God, how embarrassing. Well, I didn't want to call you Critical Dice.
Yeah,
myself and Jason. Forgive me, everyone. I just know everybody by their monikers.
Yeah, exactly. People will say, "Hey, Critical."
That same way with my.
I'll get messages. People are like, "Hey, Critical." Da da da. I'm like,
yeah.
My first name isn't Critical, man.
It's like my players. Like sometimes I have to sit and think, like,
what are their real names?
Yeah. Because when I met them, I met them at the same time we started doing D&D. Like I just met like 5 random people, and they started playing in my game. So I didn't know any of the people who are actually in my current session. And we've got one player, his name is Jordan in real life, but he plays a character named Phil. And I tell you, buddy, I call him Phil all the time because it's just like, yeah, if someone's like, okay, you're not really Amram or Ulfgar, but when it's like Phil, oh shit, is it Phil or Jordan? I can't remember. Wait, sorry, Jason. Yeah, both you and I are Amazon sellers. So
we are.
So I wrote an article today regarding Amazon's Project Zero initiative that they just rolled out. So that was, yeah.
So I'll have to check that out because I've been traveling all day, so I haven't looked at any of the Amazon news today.
Yeah, we should go into it too much on here because I don't know if anybody.
No, it's probably not the purview of this audience for sure. But apart from your writing like day job, how many words a day do you think that you write for your website?
According to Grammarly, between the two, I write about 17,000 words a day. I would say a majority of it's probably DM Dave. Yeah, Grammarly put me at the 99th percentile, and I think I broke their record too for like a 14-week period. So I write an absurd, and this is not even counting like Facebook Messenger or anything that Grammarly won't pick up on. Right. Or Patreon. Yeah, like it doesn't work on Patreon, so it doesn't work on that either. So I would probably put it at about 20,000. When I used to write for Quora, which is about the same pace I write, it came out to be like 10 to 12,000 a day. That was right there.
That's like what, like 30 pages or something?
No, God, I think it's 40 pages. Well, it depends on what kind of pages you're talking about. Like
like 30 to 40 pages a day.
Like if you're talking about a novel,
right?
Hold on, like a regular, like, let me do the math real quick. That's about 68 pages from like a novel, like your typical 250 to 300 page book. For D&D, it's about 800 words per page, or 800 words per page. So that's roughly 21 D&D size pages. So yeah, it's pretty intense.
So you're basically writing a Xanathar's Guide to Everything's worth of content every week, basically, as far as page count goes.
Probably once every 2 weeks, yeah, about a Xanathar's Guide. Because the average D&D book is like 350 pages. Xanathar's is a little lighter, like at 250.
Right.
Still costs the same. Wizards. But yeah.
They thought we wouldn't notice. We did.
Yeah. Yeah, and this new book is like, you're just cutting and pasting from all the U edition.
Well, they have to update it a little bit, right?
Yeah. You have to recalculate all the CRs and pay Dyson Logos to make all the new maps, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's got to eat too, right?
Or Mike Schley or Tim Harton or Blando or whoever they're going to use on this one.
I know, but those maps are so beautiful too.
Yeah.
Like Dyson stuff, I still watch his stuff pretty regularly to like, okay, how did he do that, and try to copy it. And
the thing about Dyson is, like, man, people gave him so much crap for Waterdeep, right? They were like, oh, look at these maps. They're and like old school guys are like, oh, these are awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's like if you go on Instagram and you look at people making maps, everybody wants to be Dyson, right? Like everybody.
Even my maps look like his, yeah.
Like everybody's doing the Dyson hatching, right? So it's like they give him crap, but he is, that's his style. He owns it, man. He's great. I follow him. He's one of like only 3 people I follow on Patreon. And fun fact, I'm the only person he follows on Instagram. So
really,
or at least I was.
That's high praise. Well,
yeah.
Old school gamers. How long have you been playing in the hobby? How long have you been playing D&D?
I started in 1991. I went to B. Dalton Booksellers, a bookstore that hasn't been around since the 90s. And it was at mall. And they had a big box set with Red Dragon on the front. And it was called The New Easy to Master Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I had no idea what D&D was. I mean, D&D, this was like the late 90s. So D&D was still kind of like taboo, it's like
very much
total Stranger Things kind of crowd. I mean, granted, second edition was a lot more getting it out into the public, because I think
you could find it a lot more places.
Yeah, like TSR was really forging ahead, and there were just books and books and books and books. They oversaturated their own market, which is kind of funny. That's a history lesson for another day. But yeah, I bought that box set. It was pretty cool. It came with the map that folded out, had a big map of the Red Dragon, like little paper foldies that you like buckled at the bottom. Did you ever see that, or did you ever have one?
Yeah. I never had one, but I've seen it plenty of times. I had so I started playing in like '89, like in junior high, because we're both ancient, and and I think my friend had the red box, and he lost some things in it, but I saw all that stuff. The first books that I really had access to were like my own, or I could get to all the time, was second edition. So yeah.
From there, I got the other box sets. So there was a bunch of like box sets like that. They were like Monopoly sized boxes, and I've repurchased it since then. And chances are my original copy's still at my parents' house in Virginia. But yeah, there was like one for undead, one for like one there was for goblins, even though it had Gith on the front cover. because you think they recycle art now, buddy. Back in the
Yes, seriously.
it's all recycled art. I had all those, and then I started getting like Spelljammer box set and Ravenloft, and like the second edition was all about the campaign settings, which is ultimately what its undoing was creating too many campaign settings, and it was competing with itself. And TSR went bankrupt, and Wizards bought them, and the rest is history. But I've been doing since second edition. I played heavily in third. Like many, I've had all the books, and when they dumped third, it was like, screw you guys. Because I've got like $3,000 worth of books sitting on a shelf, and we're like,
yeah, there's a lot of people who felt that way, that it's like their stock had become devalued all of a sudden. They had thousands of dollars invested in third, and they were noticeably skittish. But the nice thing is though, just because they got rid of third and don't make it anymore, it doesn't mean that you still can't play third. You can still play third right now. You can play first edition right now.
Yeah, for sure. And there's I would say third is probably, or after third was the real, when the whole like edition wars started, right? Because so many people were so bought into third. I ended up selling all of mine except for the core books and a few randos that I couldn't sell. I didn't ever play fourth. I somehow managed to totally skip that whole period. And
it's probably for the best.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion. I mean, I hear it sucks, but like I've never played it, so I don't want to like stand on that hill and
yeah, it's not worth dying on that hill. It's just dust up there anyway. But like fourth, I think they were trying something really new, and I think it all worked. I think that it was a lot of fun. I mean, I listened to all of the celebrity games with Penny Arcade and all that when they kind of showcased fourth really well. But I think that as you got higher in the levels, you've got analysis paralysis, because there's so much you can do. And they're literally like, your players are gods among men. It's just too top heavy and too much to do. And so I think they made the right call, kind of pulling it back a little bit.
Yeah, granted, third you could really get up, like you had epic level and stuff. Like once you're like you could do like skill checks up in like to the 40s. Like you get DC 40, like a move silently check means you like vanish or something.
Yeah. By virtue of sheer force of will, you have gone into the border ethereal and bypassed it.
Yeah. So third definitely had its it had its jump the shark moments with that. And I'm sure fifth, it's inevitable with fifth. I mean, they've done a good job of like slowing down the releases, and I think that's because they're making a ton of money off of like people doing DM's Guild and stuff like that, where if you want all that extra, it's out there to get, right?
Yeah,
but it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like they don't need to put out the player's guide to fighters, because God knows there's like 300 of them on DM's Guild, right?
Yeah, and some of them are pretty good. Yeah.
So some of them are a margin of them are pretty good. Not knocking my creators. I mean, God knows half the shit I make is. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to drop. I don't know what the audience is here, but
Don't worry about it.
God knows that some of my stuff's pretty crap, but that's why I make so much of it. Pareto principle, right? 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
Counts for 80%.
Eventually, probability works in your favor. Yeah.
Right. You get a pirate that goes viral, and you're like, hey, all right.
Yeah, exactly. So, what with all the edition wars and all the stuff that you played through, you played second, you played first, you played third and fifth. Do you have a preference? Do you have one that you're like, this is one that just kind of feels like home to me?
Obviously, I mean, fifth is probably the most I've lived in, most I've probably played. And it's funny, like I only got into fifth last year on March 17th, so I'm about to hit my 1 year anniversary for my.
Oh wow!
Group. Yeah, so I didn't ride the whole train. Like I did the board game thing for a long time, but that just kind of got, saturated. I get kind of tired of buying new board games all the time, and I mean it's cool. Like there's so much cool stuff in board games now. It's almost like overwhelming. And I know there's a lot of people who swear by. What's it called? What's the big role playing game that's number one on Board Game Geek?
House on Haunted Hill.
Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like stuff like that's like, this is awesome, because back when back in like 2003 when I was doing board games, you were playing like Catan and Diplomacy from like 1958, and like and like advanced Civ from Avalon Hill back in the 80s.
Right, and it's significantly grown since then.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I actually did a little research to look at the number of titles, and it's like exponential growth since I would say since 2007. Kickstarter probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
Kickstarter started in 2007, and I was really into board games, so I missed out on fourth. Missed out on fourth, and and I missed most of fifth. So, which is kind of nice because by the time I got into it, you know, they're pretty slow with their releases now, only doing about 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
So by the time I came in, like all the good stuff was already out, like Bolos and
Morricans, maybe
Xanathar's was out, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so you could get in and like have all the tools you needed. Granted, I mean, the core books are so good this time around that you pretty much have everything you need. And the you know, like I like my Dungeon Master's Guide, for example, like I use the heck out of that. I still rely on my monsters, man. I mean, I created hundreds of monsters, but I still turn to the same classics. But yeah, I've lived mostly in fifth. First, you know, always loved first because first is kind of, you know, if you if you got one night and some friends and you want to kill their characters really quick, nobody does it better than first.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's that Gygaxian philosophy of players. They're there for you to kill.
Second, I think, had a lot of really cool ideas, and they didn't really care about balance that much in second. So you, especially in like, you look at some of the Ravenloft stuff, man, that stuff's brutal. It's like 2 fear checks and you're dead.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Some of my most memorable sessions in college is going through Ravenloft.
Yeah, I love adapting because second had, God, what, over a decade worth of material.
Yeah.
And you've got lots of like zany stuff, like, you know, I think Spelljammer's born in second. A lot of iconic monsters came out of second. You know, Ravenloft is a product of second. Like, Ravenloft might have been older than that, but you know, lots of really wacky, cool stuff. Like, I love, like, if I'm gonna like update monsters, like I don't have a good idea, I'll go to like Lomian.de, find a random monster from there, and just like make it 4th edition, because like Uncle Skeleton like is one that I love. It's just like so random. It's like Uncle Skeleton. It's like a skeleton in a top hat that likes to play tricks on people. I'm like, only in second, man. Third, I think, had the best books. They were just solid, had lots of really good fluff. You know, you had the Book of Eternal Darkness back then. You had oh God, what's the Libris Mortis? You know, the stuff that, like, when people are like, is D&D for devil worshipping? You're like, no, unless you don't
look at those books.
Yeah. Like, I think what was I think it was the Eternal Darkness, like, had like just like demons with their cod pieces hanging out. Like, come on, guys.
It was like, man, what? It's like, what was that brief to the artist? How did that read? Because wow, we really got something out of this. Yeah, it's
well, I mean, I don't know, man, if you've been on DeviantArt, but they don't call it DeviantArt for nothing.
Yeah, I try not to for that very reason. I just, I don't want to have to light my browser history on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, so now that you clearly have looked at, analyzed, played through so many different editions, with 5th edition, which I think a lot of people have said is the best one, or at the very least, the most accessible D&D has ever been. And I think that's probably true. Is there anything that you would hope they would change? Like, if you were hired today and you were told that you could change anything, what would you want to change in 5th edition?
That's a good question. There's a lot of things they do that are better from a marketing standpoint than there are from a game standpoint. Like, I wasn't thrilled about like Ravnica. I mean, it's fine, and it's got some cool ideas, but it's clearly a marketing campaign to bring in what they already know as a group of people that spend a lot of money on stuff, which is Magic players. So
yeah, Ravnica looked cool, but I gave up Magic the Gathering like in 2000, and so I knew Ravnica was a thing, but I don't have any emotion attached to it.
Yes, and I felt the same way. Like it was very obviously like, okay, we're doing this because it'll, you know, Venn diagram our 2 major markets, which right now is D&D, which even D&D, pales in comparison to, from what I understand, like D&D was like, it didn't even get looped into like Hasbro's like shareholder meetings, right? They didn't even mention it.
No, didn't even care.
Until like the last couple of years, when D&D is really, God, there was just that Big Bang episode where they're playing D&D with like Will Shatner, Joe Magno,
Jabbar, Magnello.
And now it's like kind of a big deal, and everybody's like, oh yeah, well, Stranger Things probably had a lot, to do with that, because everybody under the age of 40 watched Stranger Things, and it's real, and that's the other thing too, is it's baby boomers play it now. You've got two large generations who are into it. You've got the grogs, you've got millennials and stuff like that, who play it, and it's more popular in mainstream stuff, and like people kind of like figure out like, oh, this is cool. They do a lot of stuff that panders to a younger audience in 5th edition. You've got Tabaxi and stuff like that makes like grogs go like, ugh,
Yeah, we well, it reminds us of Kinder, and there's some people who have some very strong opinions about the Kinder. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's funny when people fuss about Dragonborn. I'm like, well, I mean, Draconians have been around since the 80s, so you really can't pick on Dragonborn. Yeah, it's flavorful without being too imbalanced. I haven't had any in my current campaign. Well, I had one the first campaign session, and it's it's whatever. They get to breathe fire once a day, and they're resistant. Tieflings are the ones that are like freaking all over the place. Like, supposed to be the rarest race in all of Faerun, yet you'll have like a party with like 8 of them.
Yeah, well, I think it's because they're the most angsty of all the races, and people love to have angsty with tragic backstories, and so it's targeted.
Yeah, and that's you can see there's a lot of like I call 5th edition like the marketer's edition. It's definitely developed, like the marketing team worked side by side with the creative team, and that's great. I mean, because it's made it what it is, and it's going to push the next generation. And as someone who is a professional marketer, I can't hate on that. As someone who's been playing D&D for almost 30 years, it's like, well, like I was really reluctant to buy Ravnica because I was like, ugh, this is such a marketing ploy. But it's a nice book. It's beautiful. It's got lots of great art. The subclasses are cool. They give me, they're typical D&D. Like every subclass is better than the last one that came out. So when I'm on Reddit and people are like, oh, that's overbalanced, I'm like, Circle of Spores does it, like, well, that's
yeah, exactly.
Yuan-Ti Half-Blood have magic resistance as a racial power, so I can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't let people be wrong on the internet.
Yeah, but Reddit's just for when I'm feeling too egotistical about my stuff. I go there, let them take me down a few levels real quick.
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone to have someone in their life that can take them down a few pegs. Well,
nothing like an 18-year-old who's never written a piece of content in their life telling you how much you suck.
Tell me about it. Well, listen, man, thanks so much for talking with me.
Sure.
We've been on here for a while and geeking out and being old grognards together. But tell everybody where they can find your stuff. Tell us about the website, the Patreon, the game. Let us know where we can find more of DM Dave.
Yeah, dmdave.com. Chances are, you've probably seen something that I've made randomly on it. God knows I run into my stuff out of blue all the time. My Patreon's patreon.com/DNDave. I've got a campaign world on there that my patrons get to like play the role of gods and actually get to change its stuff. And they're like, can I do this? I'm like, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want, man. It's your world. So they're currently destroying it. I think the guy, like the evil to good ratio is about like 2-to-1. So it's kind of a mess, but it's fun. Like they all have like powers based on their tiers. And originally it was a little bit more rules heavy, but I cut out all the rules and made it more free form. So now it's just a matter of me like logging in and being like, yeah, you can do that. I don't care. And then I actually like put it into the maps, wrap it up into PDFs, and like do it as like a campaign setting. So it's kind of a cool experiment. It's gone over really well. Got some really fun people, all different ages. You've got like grogs, you've got like young guys like battling it out in this poor little world. The poor people are just like, oh, why are there like 40 gods within 100 square miles? This is the worst.
The gods must be crazy.
Yeah, and then you get all my like you sign up. I give so much shit away on Patreon. You get like all my books. You get to vote in the polls. I'm probably start doing some workshops now. I had to hire somebody because I've been getting so busy. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's like anything I do. Like I give away so much stuff on my blog, but then I give away like 10 times that on Patreon, which is pretty. It's like $3 to get in. So pretty fun. That's the thing about D&D, man. It's like if people are having fun, the rules, that shit doesn't matter. Like half the time, like someone corrects me on some rules, I'm like, man, I don't care. I know the rules better than most people, but at the same time, it's like, was it cool? Rule of cool. That's all that matters. If you want to cool Flame Skull, do it.
Well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on, taking a few minutes to chat with me today. Everybody, there'll be links to all of Dave's stuff, his Patreon, his website, here in the description right down below here. And encourage you to follow him on Instagram at Dungeon Master Dave, and sign up for his emails on his website so you can get all that content and never miss a beat. Dave, thanks again so much, man. We'll see you.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, guys.